So something I've been thinking about for a while now is storytelling, what makes a good story and how can we tell good stories? Storytelling is kind of this really important thing to have. Or it's an important skill to have. We kind of see storytelling everywhere, whether it's on YouTube, through movies, photography, music. So I figured I would make a video to talk about what makes a good story from my perspective. Because as it stands now, I'm kind of a beginner at storytelling, and it's definitely something I want to improve over time, especially as I'm creating videos and writing other things. So I think these are some important things to telling a story. The first thing I would say to kind of improve your storytelling is to learn from different mediums. Basically what I mean by that is that different mediums of storytelling kind of use different thought processes, and you can use those different processes to kind of apply it to other forms of storytelling. A form of storytelling that I really enjoy is photography, and photography to me is something that's static and very powerful. A neatly composed shot or an interesting subject can tell a story. It might be the story in and of itself, or it might give a little insight to something that's going on in the photo or when the photo was taken. On the other hand, there is something like music, where music is kind of abstract and concrete at the same time. It's concrete in the sense that music kind of has these songwriting rules where you have a verse, chorus, bridge, and an outro and intro. And it's abstract in the sense that it kind of relies on sound and motion to guide the feelings of the listener. And when I think about photography and music, I think about it in a way where they kind of work off of each other. For example, if I were to take a photo of a forest, it might make me think of something that sounds ambient and very spacey. And that thought itself would kind of guide how I would write a song. And if I were to start off with the music, then I would think about it in a way where it evokes certain images where, okay, if I write a sad song, then where is it taking place? Am I sitting in a dining room just all by myself, or am I eating alone, or I don't know, am I just like sitting in the room in the dark or something, But my point is, starting in one medium of storytelling can influence how I think about storytelling in a different medium. And I also think it's fun to try out different things, especially if you're starting out with writing or kind of creating. Just start with this blank canvas where there are no rules at the moment. Just take all the inspiration that you have and use it to write whatever you're trying to write. And the second thing I would say is to draw from experience, because I think the most compelling stories are the ones that make us think and feel something. It becomes a lot easier to tell your story when your audience is able to connect the dots between your experience and their life. For me, it's really comforting when I can resonate with someone's story, and it ultimately makes me want to listen to more of what they have to say. Like, some of my favorite stories include Memories, Dreams, Reflections by Carl Jung and Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. And it's really interesting because Memories, Dreams, Reflections is this autobiography by a psychoanalyst from the late 18th century to the early 19th century or something like that. And a lot of his experiences are something that I can more or less relate to because it's similar to my own experiences. And I learn a lot in that way because they aren't exactly my experiences. They're something that is specific to Carl Jung. And in that sense, it kind of gives me a different perspective of the situation at hand. And in Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, it's this personal diary. Marcus Aurelius just writes down or jots down all of his ideas and his thoughts. And he kind of reflects on his own experiences and the things he has to deal with in his own life. So what I'm saying here is to tell stories as they were experienced, or use those experiences to influence your writing or what you're trying to say, and kind of recreate this brand new story based off of experiences that you've had in the past. Now, the third thing I would say is to have a reason for your story. When I say have a reason, I don't necessarily mean to have this big grand idea about your story where your story has to have this very complex theme, like, oh, I want to talk about the importance of love, and it's just like bringing in all of these ideas. It's not necessarily that it has to be something very complex. It can be something as simple like, oh, I'm telling you this story because I want to share about my experiences. It could be something like, I want to just talk about what had happened to me today. And those things can be reasons for a story. Or maybe you do want to go down that route where your story is something that's super complex and it really is this whole metaphor for some bigger grand scheme idea. I think it's really important to have a reason for your story, because then if there is a reason, you can kind of grab things out of those stories and learn from it, and then again apply it to your own life in whatever way that makes sense to you. Now, I think it's really good to tell stories because then if you're good at storytelling, then you're kind of able to share your experiences with other people, and then you can teach them about your life, and then these people will be able to learn from you and apply these lessons to their own life. And I think that in itself is something that's really valuable, where we're teaching people about these new ideas and concepts as we've experienced them. Like, think about a library. A library has all these books and all these stories, and it's very interesting and exciting when you're in a library because there are so many opportunities for you to learn from all these books and read and just hear about what people have to say. And that to me is something that's really fulfilling. And it's definitely something that I want to improve on and really get better at doing, because I want to, I guess, live a fulfilling life in a way where I can share about my experiences and talk about these things that are really important to me.